There we go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to have to move this. Can you guys still see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'm just moving this around a little bit. Okay, so my thought on this was to look, the general ideas when you're working. Do you need a bolster? You want something bigger?
No, that's fine.
Okay, we can get you set up, even a chair if you need it. If you're working with herbs and you're trying to address an issue, the more you know about the condition that you're treating, the better, is my thought. So the more you know about colds and flu, the better you can pick the herb to do the job. So in this case, the better we know the immune system, the better we can treat, or we can figure out what we use that would be more efficient. And a lot of times when I do herb consultations, what I found over the years of doing that is someone will come in with up to 3 health concerns, and they can be completely unrelated. But when I look at the herbs, I can get down to 1 or 2 herbs to treat all the conditions. So that's very unique because herbs kind of tend to go broad spectrum, can treat multiple things, and a lot of times the underlying cause is related. And then that's the mystery. Demystifying that, then you can like, oh, we'll focus on this. Instead of having a broad area of focus, we scale it down or we pinpoint that focus. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I found the same thing doing this. Now I went into this, I'm not a doctor or anything. I went into this kind of blind. You know, I know a little bit about the immune system and stuff. And I kind of had a notion about what herbs I would pick. And other than that, it was pretty much just like just doing a little research. And what I found was very, very interesting in that it became very simple in that we have 1 or 2 things that you can do overall. And so let's just start. I'm going to go into my reading voice. So, just like the meditation, right?
Well, hopefully I won't fall asleep.
You might fall asleep.
Your voice might just do it.
Stuart, there is an exam. There is an exam after this. He didn't tell you. So you better make a note.
Okay, so kind of what I was just alluding to, one way to use herbal medicine is to better understand the action of the herb. Another is to better understand the physiology of the condition. In this case, it's our compromised immune system, or building our immune system, and how the body works to support it. Okay, finding and implementing herbs to boost the body's natural defenses, our immune system. Right? Okay, so today we know we've got the COVID-19. It's going on globally, so there's not many places you can go without running into this. And what we've done is isolate, we wear a mask, and we distance, we wash our hands. Those are like prevention. So it's a virus. So if we go to the virus aspect and you think, okay, what can I do to protect against the virus? The proactive, according to this Professor David Ho, he is the Taiwanese American AIDS researcher, physician. And he's a virologist who made a number of scientific contributions to understanding and the treatment of HIV infection. So I saw him early on when this came out, and his comment was to treat it like immune deficiency. So the best thing to do would be to boost up or strengthen your immune system, right? And that makes sense. And I would take that to heart because this is somebody who's been through the AIDS epidemic and found ways to save lives and fight the virus. So the immune system, if it's compromised, no, let me start again. Here I am reading. I'm going off script. Okay, so the prevention by boosting and strengthening the immune system, and then looking at the immune system being comprised of cells and proteins. It's the learning how the immune system works will give us insight on what systems need to be protected, strengthened, and tonified. Can I hit cut? Take two. Okay, we got through that. Okay, so the immune system, let's look at this. This is the boring part, but it's important. So if you want to take notes, this might be where you want to take some notes. So this is where I get a little bit confused, I'd say. Like this is where it gets kind of confusing about the cells. The immune system made up of cells that respond to the presence of viruses and pathogens. The name of these cells are B cells and T cells. B cells are attack pathogens, fight bacteria and viruses by making antibodies. So we hear that a lot, antibodies, right? And which are specific to each pathogen. B cells are produced in the bone marrow. The precursors of T cells are also produced in the bone marrow, but they leave the bone marrow to mature in the thymus gland. So if you do my class in the mornings and we do this sternal tap, and I say like we're building up our immune system by tapping the thymus gland, energizing it. And that is the idea because the thymus gland deteriorates as we age, it atrophies, and it doesn't come back. It doesn't regenerate. So now we know the importance of it is a place for B cells to mature, to become T cells, and then it goes on that the difference between the B cells and the T cells. The T cells can only recognize viral antigens outside the infected cell, whereas B cells can recognize the surface antigen of bacteria and viruses. So B cells make valuable molecules called antibodies. So that's where the antibodies come from. Antibodies trap specific viruses and bacteria. So it goes on, B cells are activated by the binding of antigen receptors on its cell surface, which cause the cell to divide and proliferate. Activated B cells multiply and form drones of plasma cells and memory cells. Plasma cells secrete antibodies, while memory cells can be stored to fight later versions of the viruses and pathogens. So if you hear that, you might think like what people are talking about in the news. They're like, they want to build up antigens in your body, or they want to take those antigens and make them injected into people to kind of fight the virus, right? So once you get the virus, then you form antibodies, and correct me if I'm wrong, Corinne, and then they take those antibodies and use them. The memory cells, they kind of form a block, like a lock to that surface, and they memorize it, and then they go into storage. So when it comes back, they go right back to it and attack. And they can fight the virus that way. So there we have the T cells, and we're going to get to more of the T4 and the T8, and we have the B cells. So the bone marrow is where these are born. So you're thinking healthy bone marrow, right? Like, how can I keep my bone marrow healthy to make more of these B cells? Because I want these B cells to form memory cells and the other to get the plasma to secrete the antibodies. Okay. So then we go on to the T cells, which is the thymus gland. The T cells that mature in the thymus gland govern cell-mediated immunity, not controlled antibodies. T cells are rapidly mobilizing white blood cells. White blood cells, and you probably have all heard of those, are also key to fighting infection by destroying invading organisms. White blood cells release histamine also to fight, that's what fights allergens. So our allergic reactions to the air, that's the white blood cells, T cells. And the thymus gland produces two types of T cells, T4 and T8. And this is a little more than we need to know. T4 cells are helper cells which turn on the immune system when it's challenged. Interferon is released in response to the presence of several viruses, causing nearby cells to heighten their antiviral defense. So for me, interferon is the thing that pops into my head as something that's important. From the T cells. So I go through to, just to give a description of what interferon is, and you could, these are the T cells, thymus, B cells, bone marrow. Interferon interferes.
Yeah.
And that's how these are come up. So the interferons are a family of naturally occurring proteins that are made and secreted by cells of the immune system. For example, white blood cells, natural killer cells, fibroblasts, and epithelial cells. All interferons share several common effects. They are antiviral agents, and they modulate functions of the immune system. Interferons boost the immune system response. Virally infected cells produce and release small proteins called interferons, which play a role in immune protection against viruses. Interferons prevent replication of viruses. So that would be my key sentence right there. By directly interfering with their ability to replicate within an infected cell. So that is the thing that nips it in the bud, the interferon. So T cells. So now that's T4, T8 cells turn off the immune system. Examples of conditions where the T4 cells were deficient or are deficient are cases of cancer, chronic colds, and the Epstein-Barr virus, things like that. Transmitted viruses through saliva, things like that. So our virus that we're concerned with is an airborne, transmitted, you're wearing the mask. And so you can see it's the similarity. So that's pretty much on the cells. Do we have any questions on those? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And when you were talking about the, like if you had the virus,
Yeah.
and then is it sort of, are you kind of validating the fact that once you've had it, your system's gonna fight, you've got that ability to fight that off?
You should, this is where it gets
I
fuzzy.
forget what the word was that you used, that,
Yeah.
you know, that will fight, you've developed the
Antibodies.
antibodies, yeah, to be able to fight that off.
Yeah, that's the idea. So they looked at polio, and they looked at smallpox, they looked at all those viruses in the past, and they looked at how they came up with the vaccine. and where they started with getting somebody with the antibodies.
Right.
So they want to replicate those cells that your body has. If I don't have it, and I don't have the memory cells, and I don't have the antibodies from the virus antigens, then you can give it to me, and you can get it from other people that have already developed it. And so you could use it in cases, I think, with people who are at high risk. So it gets fuzzy, the complexity of how that works. But if you thought of it as, I think of it as like a sphere with hooks on it, or a Lego. Think of a Lego floating around, and it's got all those little dots and stuff.
Right.
And then your antibodies are other Legos that can attach to it because they have that link.
Right.
So you introduce a bunch of Legos to attach to the virus, and it links up. And once it links up, it kills it. So you can think about it, it's like a game of, you got so many Legos and you don't want them to replicate and make more Legos, and you want to introduce the Legos to stop them.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
It's kind of, or hooks that claw together, that they fit, you're making a match. And so the T cells do that. The body's natural defenses go into that mode naturally. And,
Well, it makes sense, Ben,
yeah,
that when you get the COVID-19, obviously there are people that they send home and wait for 2 weeks so their own system can fight against the virus, versus someone who's older, whose thymus gland may not be producing those T cells. They are the ones who have to get the injections and the help to fight it.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly it. I think you're right. So it's a good way to look at that, the dynamics of what's going on. And now we'll get into what we can do as prevention and maybe nutrition herbal therapy. And I just copied some of these down. We do yoga, we do meditation, yoga movement, even Pilates, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of cardio. Those are all good. They say like 30 minutes 3 times a day. And then you've got your don't smoke, your eat a high diet or a diet high in fruits and vegetables, exercise regularly, maintain healthy weight, drink alcohol in moderation, get sleep, rest, take steps to avoid infections such as washing your hands frequently. And it also says cooking your meats thoroughly, things like that. Exercise, walking, biking, yoga, 30 minutes, 3 times a week. Those all boost your immune system. And we kind of know that. So it's kind of sad that we're doing things. The isolation is tricky because we tend to get lethargic. You can get sluggish. You can stop your routine. Right when it started, I was like, keep your routine. Don't break your routine, because then you're going to start letting things go. Next thing you know, you're not doing the things you did, and it's going to be starting all over again, which is hard. So whatever routines you have, I'm a firm believer, do not break your routines.
So you've provided that for us.
Yeah, and so going online, you can
Yeah,
it's better than nothing. But even if you had your home practice, it's another I don't know what the word is. It's another reason to develop a home practice in a way. We should all have our personal home practice, I think. I'm a firm believer in that too, because you learn a lot from your home practice, personal practice, and you develop a lot of motivation. You're self-motivating, you know, it's important. Because when this stuff hits, more strength and drive and grit, that's the only way I can explain it, you have, the more you hang in. That's a whole nother topic. Roots of movement. This is roots of herbalism. So nutritional, and this is where we start to get very simple. Okay, so from learning how the immune system functions, direction can be taken on where to begin by supporting bone marrow and thymus gland health. Immune system health and function can be maintained. Okay, so we want to focus on the thymus gland and bone marrow. Simple as that. So if I were to look at my herb apothecary, I'm going to go to bone health, and I'm going to go to thymus gland health. I'm going to go to anything that supports manufacturing or production of cells, B cells, T cells. And that includes exercises too. So vitamin C it's not manufactured in the human body, making it us, 1 in 4 species that does not produce its own vitamin C. It's water-soluble vitamin, so we continually run out, we deplete vitamin C. Okay, the stores of vitamin C in the body easily diminish through stress and sweat. Both vitamin C and vitamin B, or B vitamins, are water-soluble and need to be added to the body.
Yeah.
Food, from food sources or supplementation. Okay. And then, let's see, let's go on. Foods that are best for increasing bone marrow and bone marrow health are foods rich in vitamin C. There you go. Including bell peppers, oranges, berries, and lemon juice. I know Vicky's a big lemon juice person, likes the lemon water. And even lime, I think all citrus fruits. It doesn't have to be specific, you know. Okay, so now B9, you know, we have B12, we have B1 through B12, and B9 is known as folate. Folate, you've all heard, take folic acid or folate, and it helps with the formation of red and white blood cells produced in the bone marrow. So now we've got 2 water-soluble vitamins. And vegetarian sources of folate include asparagus. Other sources, really simple, beef, fish, dairy, grain, cereals, also sources of folate. If you're not vegetarian.
Unplug it.
And if you looked into that, you could find higher sources than others. Asparagus is really good. I try to eat asparagus once a week, you know, just as a rule. Let's see, foods that are beneficial for the thymus gland also include foods that are high in vitamin C. Vitamin C-rich foods including dark green, leafy vegetables, which you might not have thought of for vitamin C, kale, stuff like that. Make sure you steam it. And then citrus and berries, recommended 5 a day. 5 a day. You know, when I took my classes, and you go through and they say 6 cups veggies, 6 cups of fruit a day.
Oh my God.
Can you do it?
No. No.
Wow. What else would I do? I'd be just sitting around. Well, that's why they blend stuff too. So you can take a lot and blend it, mush it up.
But still, 6 cups?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Okay, so these foods may ensure proper maturation of T4 and T8 cells in the thymus gland. Okay, so really so far we're not getting too far on. It's pretty simple stuff. Okay, so now that's maybe nutrition. Let's do herbs. So when you think of herbs, there's a lot of herbs that come to mind. Okay, so I'm going to start with one of my favorite herbs, Astragalus. Okay, it's
All right.
immune stimulating or stimulant herbs. Astragalus is one, echinacea, schizandra, thyme, osha, Siberian ginseng, and out of those, the short-term use would be echinacea and thyme, maximum 2 weeks. So I wouldn't do those for very long. And then immune strengthener herbs. So that was the stimulant herbs were first. And the strengthener herbs, so now we're talking endurance, Astragalus, echinacea, Eleuthero or Siberian ginseng. And then those, let's see, I've got a note for Siberian ginseng, which is one of my favorite herbs also. They all are. But because it's used in chemotherapy a lot, not with herbalists, and because it stores vitamin C in the body. So if you take the vitamin C and it's water soluble and you're going through stress and you're sick, you're going through vitamin C quick. The Eleuthero stores it in the adrenals, which is where vitamin C is stored, on the kidneys. So you've got that ability to store vitamin C in the body, which makes it good for stress and endurance. So it helps you maintain. And in a situation where you're trying to build the immune system, you need all the help you can get, right? Okay, so the immune tonic herbs include Astragalus, which help regulate T4 and T8 cells. The Thymus gland stimulant herbs, eucalyptus, osha, which is osha root, and thyme. Thyme's the cooking spice. And let me just talk about those three. Okay, so the thymus gland versus the immune system. So I have the immune stimulant on top, and then I have thymus gland stimulant on the bottom. The eucalyptus, you can use in an oil. You can use it as a tea. And then the osha root, is an herb, and it's for the upper middle, the lungs. It opens up the bronchioles, and they use it for pneumonia and asthma. It's also got an effect on the thymus gland and stimulating the T4. Thyme, just like the word, thyme, thymus, thyme, spelled the same. So it makes sense that they're beneficial. Yeah. That you can drink in a tea. You can take that as a tincture. If you can find it in a tincture, which is the little bottle, herb extracted in alcohol, 1 dropper full a day. 1 dropper full of an herb is like 30 drops. I said that to one person that they said, yeah, I've been doing, was that you?
No.
1 drop a day.
No, it wasn't me.
They said, man, I'm still got sick. I said 3 dropperfuls a day. They thought I meant 3 drops a day.
Oh, no.
And so it was funny. I said, no, squeeze the whole thing for the whole dropper,
3 droppers.
the vial. Yeah. So that was a funny one. Okay, now we go on to Astragalus. So that's just brief. Now I'm going to get a little more into it. So Astragalus, I brought some of it out here. I didn't bring it out here. I meant to bring it out here so I could show it to you. It's a great herb. You can cook with it. You can put it in your food. You can take it as tea. You can do the tincture. And it's immune stimulant that can be taken long term. The only contraindication is not to use it when you have a fever, because it will actually lock in the heat. The fever, it will exacerbate that fever. Okay, according to Herbalist, Astragalus regulates B cells while enhancing B cell production. All about it. Astragalus also regulates the T4 and T8 cells, improves function of the thymus gland, which is what we need, while slowing down age-related atrophy of the thymus gland. Okay, so which we talked about, yeah. All good so far. Astragalus also strengthens function of bone marrow in producing white blood cells. Astragalus increases production of interferon, a naturally occurring substance that interferes with the ability of viruses to reproduce. Interferon also boosts the immune system. So you can take, I think you can take interferon. I think you can get that. I just came across some stuff. But I'd rather get into my body and make it work the best I could. Astragalus can be considered a premier herb for the immune system based on its ability to strengthen the many functions of the immune system. Astragalus is contraindicated for the fever, as I mentioned.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah.
I just started taking the Astragalus for my kidney disease.
Yeah.
And my question, I think I asked you once before, is I take pills and tablets. And the question is, versus the actual herb itself, how do I know the proper strength of something? Is there a FDA or is it USP that regulates the quality of the herb in pill form?
It's a great question. And so the rule of thumb, there's like the rule of thumb for potency. And it goes the tablet, which is a hard chalky, and it's got polymers and glue holding it together, binders, and it is the lowest absorption. Then it goes to a capsule, which is the powder that they scrape off the floor and put in the capsule.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
The stuff that dried, that the herbs left behind, then they put it in, and they figure this is a great way to make money.
That's the one I take.
Okay, so that's where you're on. Okay. That's a little better.
Great.
And then it goes to the actual herb, the plant, and then you can take it in different, you can do tincture, which is the alcohol extracted herb, which is good absorption. And if you're opposed to alcohol, you can do that in glycerin or vinegar. And then you've got the tea. The tea is what I drink mainly. I have loose leaf and I'll drink the straight tea. I'll steep it.
And that's what that Astragalus, that's what, I mean, you can drink that in a tea?
Yeah, you can drink it in a tea. And so that's basically how it would go. Now, the other way is like some people use essential oils, and that's through the olfactory system. And that's the smell. And believe it or not, you can get some benefit from that. Not rubbing it all over your body, but through the smell, the scent. So in certain herbs work better than others that way. They're designed to work with the olfactory system. Does that help? Now, that's not going
Well,
to
knowing that the stuff is coming off the floor doesn't exactly give me a comforting feeling.
Well, you're taking the capsules, so they took it off the floor and they glued it back together.
Thanks, Ben.
That's worse.
That's part Elmer's glue.
Oh, God, I would take that.
And they put it into a mold and pressed it. So the other rule of thumb is to read the bottle and it'll say, take 2 capsules twice a day. You always triple the dose for potency. So if it says you've got 90 milligrams, 2 capsules twice a day, then you're going to do, to get that 90 milligrams or that potency that they're say on the label, you probably have to do, and I'm not going to say every time, but the rule of thumb is triple the dose. So that would mean you'd be taking 6 capsules 3 times a day. And you're going to run through that, you're going to burn through that bottle quick. So it becomes
6 cups of fruit, 6 cups of I'm stuffed.
Now, I'll give you a little trick, an herbalist trick. Now, the game with medicine or taking medicine, herbal or whatnot, is absorption. You take something, if you're taking your capsules and you're not absorbing it because of the Elmer's glue and stuff, it's not going to do you any good, right? And if you have to take, if you're taking the dose and it's not enough, you have to triple it, you don't triple it. Things like that, that affects how much you're getting. One thing you can do to help that is do something that's going to improve the absorption in the small intestine or in the colon. And that's aloe vera will help. So if you combine what you take, when you take your meds, when you take vitamins and things, take a shot of aloe vera juice or gel with it.
Oh, okay.
That will improve digestion. And if you're taking a lot of stuff, it's hard on the gut, it will help heal that gut too. So some people get that in the esophagus or the, in the throat. My sister, she can't take anything. It's just too many years of taking capsules and pills. It closes off. So to heal that epithelial tissue, aloe vera is great. Slippery elm is good too. But aloe astringes, and so it helps absorption. It also breaks the barrier of the cell wall. So anything you put with aloe, it's a carrier that will move it in through the membranes, through the body. So it improves absorption.
And you just buy aloe vera oil
Gel.
or gel? Just
Gel or water. If you have a plant, you can fillet the plant and just take the gel and right there.
How much of that do you have to take?
2 ounces.
2 ounces?
Yeah, I'd do like 2-ounce shot with my stuff. If I make a smoothie, I'll put aloe gel in the smoothie. So you got a lot of powders and stuff in that smoothie. There's a lot of fruit things. You want to absorb it all, right? Put aloe vera in there. And then you kind of have a peace of mind, and there's no way I can't give you like this is all regulated because you don't know where that herb's been. There's studies out there where they look at probiotics, they look at fish oil, rancid, probiotics, no bacteria, because it might have been on a shelf for a year. It might have been, in the heat. It might have been on a ship. You don't know where it's been, and those are all real factors. With the herbs, I can get into it because I can smell it. And if I take a plant in a bottle of herbs or something like that, the first thing I'll do is smell it. And that tells me the potency. If I can't smell anything, then it's impotent. If I can smell it, then I'm like, oh, okay, it smells the way it's supposed to. And then you get used to that. You can kind of go from there.
Does aloe vera get old?
Aloe vera, so the question is, does aloe vera get old? Aloe vera is a preservative. So you can keep aloe vera, but it stays like honey. Does that make sense?
It would?
It stays like honey. Honey is a preservative. Vitamin E is a preservative. A preservative preserves things in a way. And I could be wrong about the aloe, but the aloe, it depends on how you keep it. If you keep it in a leaf, if I cut a leaf, good for 2 weeks. If I have the gel, it'll give you a date, an expiration. But in most cases, it's good for a year. That help?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna take aloe like a plant and cut a bunch of leaves and store them. I would do one section, 2-inch section, cut, and use it as you go if you've got a plant, but not to store it so much. That would be, but those plants are amazing. Okay, how we doing?
Okay.
Sorry. All right, here we go. Echinacea. Echinacea purpurea. There's 2 kinds of echinacea. Okay. This one is the purpurea. It's used to kickstart, stimulate, and strengthen the immune system.
What did you call it?
Echinacea
Pure or
purpurea.
so P-U-R-E?
Purpurea. Purpurea. It's purpurea. And it's traditionally taken with the antibacterial herb golden seal. And this is, you may know this one from cold and flu season. So you'll take the echinacea golden seal right when you start to get the signs of a cold, knock it out. Yeah, so it works. It's a 1-2 punch. So I put in here, because golden seal is on the endangered plant species list, I substitute golden seal with Oregon grapefruit. Oregon grapefruit is another antibacterial, but it's more plentiful. And echinacea should only be used, like I said, for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks on, maybe 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on. You could do it that way. Okay, now thyme is an immune stimulant. It's the T4 cells, the helper cells that turn on the immune system when it is challenged. Thyme can be taken as a spice. You can use it in your food, the tincture, or tea. And I mentioned this already, 1 time a day for 1 week. Okay, osha root, and that opens up middle and upper parts of the lungs, strengthens the lungs, and is recommended for asthma and pneumonia. Now, if I have, this is why I brought this up, or why I think this is perfect for this condition, because you hear people going on a ventilator, what do you think? Whoa, their lungs, you can't breathe. So osha root opens up those areas to maximize the gas exchange, oxygen on the blood molecule, and the hemoglobin, transport to the body. So anything where you improve function in the lungs, you generally improve the health of the body and function of the body overall. When your lungs, the action of the lungs are compromised, your health or general health goes down. And in Chinese medicine, they look at one organ at a time. And if they were going to look at you and pick one organ, they would probably pick your lungs. Fix the lungs, fix everything else. So it'd be a chain reaction. You know what I mean? Fix your lungs, it's going to improve everything else and give you the stability because you're getting the oxygen and you're getting the support to all the organs. So then when they function better, everything else improves.
So if somebody had COPD, let's say, and they're a smoker, which is ridiculous. But if they did have that, then taking the OSHA would be the good thing. Okay.
COPD and their smoker, would OSHA help? It might help. There's some other things that could help, like hawthorn berry, but OSHA would probably help the breathing, improve breathing. You could try it. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions out there? I'm gonna move you guys over here. Prana?
Good.
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 Nikki?
Oh, good.
Good.
Yeah.
Gail? Nods?
Good.
Good. And okay. Molly, can't see you, but you got a great picture of you at the Grand Canyon. Oh, Molly says hi. All right. So everybody, Stuart Flam. Okay. So anyway, that kind of, if I were to simplify all that, I would just say, hey, boost up your vitamin C. Another good source of vitamin C, if eating all the fruits and stuff is not conducive to your lifestyle, what I did was, you can get it in a powder. You can get a powdered absorbic acid.
Yeah, they pick it up off the floor.
Yeah. You get
Just
it
don't put it in the capsules.
when all the cherries dry up. What's left on the floor, they put it in the bottle and sell it to me. But you can do that. That way you can do up to 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. You can do more than that.
I think the bottle of vitamin C I've got says vitamin C ascorbic acid, but it's in those capsules.
Yeah,
It's in the capsules.
yeah. So you might look at that as how much you're really absorbing. You know, it's all relative on what it is you're taking.
What if you just took it out of the capsule?
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that. I mean, you could just take more too. One way to really know how much vitamin C you can take is because it's a laxative. You just take it until you get the laxative effect,
Yeah,
and then that'll tell you the limit.
yeah.
And then you get the runs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you know, okay, aloe vera does the same thing. So you just take it till you get the runs, and then you know, well, I can take 20,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good trick because the convenience of it, putting it in your smoothie, using it more often rather than the bulk of stuff.
Yeah.
And in my herb cabinet, I have powders and I have leaf. And there are certain herbs I like to make tea with. And then there's other herbs that I like, mainly the roots, that I'll use as powders. And I'll put those in the smoothie because the herbs that are roots take more time to steep. And you got to get the water hotter, and they don't combine well with the leaf. So if I have leaf from nettle, and then I have the astragalus root, and I wanted to put it together, it doesn't work too well. You have to make them separately and then combine them. Whereas I can take all my leaves and just like, you should see, I take a strainer and I'll put 6 or 8 herbs in that little strainer and then just do a big combination of stuff like that. And then the roots I'll just put in powder form and put it in the smoothie, and I can do the same thing. You know, I put 20 different powders inside one smoothie, and you just go crazy with it.
Then how do you take your aloe vera? Do you just have like a little container of that?
Yeah, you buy it in a bottle.
Of aloe vera gel?
Mm-hmm. You could take it like that. Yeah.
It isn't as bad as it sounds.
No, it's
I mean, I've got an aloe vera plant, a big one, but I wouldn't want to be doing it. So I would, oh, that's interesting. Okay.
okay, guys. Well, if there are no questions, and I hope and we went just almost an hour, so we covered the topic in much quicker time than I thought. And so if we've covered everything and there are no more questions, and you can always catch up later, I will save this video and I'll post it on YouTube on the Ben Hicks Yoga channel. I will also take the notes that I was reading and I'll put those on my website in a blog. So I'll just transfer those to a blog and you can look at those and save them or read my notes.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you have further questions or things like that come up. Okay? So it's been a pleasure. And I'll try to do this again with different topics. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Ben.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ben.
Bye. Have
Stay
a
cool.
great rest of the weekend.
Thanks,
You
Ben.
too.
See you,
Bye.
everyone.
I was going to ask him how.
And that was very informative. I'm just not an herbal person. I just am not. If I ever did anything, I took the pills with the Elmer's glue, or whatever I bought at Costco. And so that was and that thing with that aloe